Hi everyone, it's DeBono, and I have a technique for you that actually came off the Creative Memories blog post. Now, this started off as a border, a top border. So we're going to create this top border first, and then we're going to add it to a page. What I love about this border is that we are using a lot of scraps. And we are using scraps that are, I'm gonna focus on autumn scraps. So I'm using scraps that are ones that will coordinate. So I've just selected some random scraps, and your scraps will probably should measure 1.5 inches or 2 inches wide, and then we'll cut them all together. You're going to need a piece here for the back of the border, and a wood grain piece is probably one that's going to work the best. And then a little strip that's going to go underneath, and then some embellishments. Okay, so this is what I have selected. So let's create our border. The fun part of this technique is making these pumpkins. Normally we make circular pumpkins or pumpkins with ovals. These pumpkins are made with our trimmer, and I'm going to use the 45-degree angle and just cut them and make them a little bit more of a squared off pumpkin. Okay, so let's get started. So the base of our border, we're going to start with the top border first, and then we're going to put it onto a page. So I'm selecting my wood grain paper, and you can take any wood grain that you have. You can use a shiplap paper, anything that works, or even a light tonal fall paper. These papers are all from either Autumn Harvest, Golden Harvest, or any of the Creative Memories previous fall collections that we have. And I'm going to cut that to 3¼ by 12. So 3¼ by 12. And that is going to form the base of our border. Now I'm going to just move it to the top here. And then we're going to need a little strip that's going to tie everything together under here, this little piece here. And that is going to be 3/4 inches, and probably one that's a tonal, more of a tonal strip. And I'm going to use either a deco blade or a wavy blade. So switch out your blade from your back of your trimmer. If you don't have a deco blade, you can use a Victorian, you could use a wavy. And we're going to cut that tonal piece at 3/4 inches using a decal or a wavy blade. So I'm going to put that at my 3/4 inches. And these are all scraps from left over from some of my previous pages. And that is 3/4 inches. So I'm going to use the 3/4 inch, and that is going to cover up any of my pieces that may not be even on the bottom of the border there. Switch your blade back to the straight blade because we don't want to forget about that. And now we're going to cut a couple of pieces using our scraps. So we're going to need some pumpkins that are 1.5 inches by 2.5 or 2 inches by 2.5. So 1.5 by 2.5 or 2 by 2.5. So I'm just going to go by the size of the scraps that I have left. So some of these can make 1.5. These are just scraps that I already had, and then I'm going to cut them to 2.5. You need 7 pumpkins altogether. And you want to just vary your colors in on your pumpkins here. So let's see, this size, I need 2 inches. So now I'm going to cut this one down to 2 inches by 2.5. So just vary your sizes. You need a couple 2.5, 2 inches by 2.5. You need a couple 1.5 by 2.5. But this is just using your scraps. So I have 2 sort of green, 2 sort of orange. I'm going to do 2 in like a yellowish color and then 1 in this pattern. You could do any pattern that you have in that front there. Oh, that nice orange looks nice too. That pale one looks nice too. And this is, what size is this? This happens to be 1.5 inches. These are, again, like I said, these are all just scraps that I had lying around. And the only other thing you're going to need are, I just have some little scraps of brown, and these were just extra scraps, and I'm just going to make the little pumpkin stems from those. Okay, so you need 1.5 inches by 2.5 and 2 by 2.5. And any combination of them, there's no right or wrong on this. And we are going to now just cut the rectangle part of the pumpkin, which is kind of fun. All right, so you need 7 pieces altogether. And we're going to cut the top parts of the pumpkins. So you want the 2.5 inches, you want them going up and down there like that. Okay, so I'm going to take any piece, I'm going to take 1 piece, and I'm going to move it and turn it so that it's going to rest at the 45-degree angle, which is on our trimmer, the 45-degree line. So I'm going to rest that at the 45-degree line. And then I'm going to make sure that the point on the right goes to the 3/8 inch mark. Okay, the point on the right goes to the 3/8 inch mark. And that is the edge of your gray on your cutting mat is 1/4 inch. The line, the first line to the right of your cutting mat is 1/2 inch. So there's a little white line on your trimmer, and it's actually a trimmer line. It's not marked, but that is where I'm going to put that right point. It's probably about 1 centimeter. Okay, and so that's the 3/8 inch mark. And I'm just going to cut it. So you have just a little cut, a little piece, just a little piece came off of that. Okay, now take your pumpkin or your piece, turn it towards you, flip it over towards you, and now we're going to do exactly the same thing. Line it on the 45-degree angle and cut it at the 3/8 inch. Okay, and that is the first of our pumpkins. This is the other side of it. I might end up using this side. I kind of like it. All right, and I'm just going to do it to all 7 pieces. And they all get cut the same way. Okay, so I'm going to take the long side, the longer side, and put that on the 45-degree angle. Line the point, the bottom point at 3/8 inch. and cut. Turn it towards, flip it over towards you, put it at the 45-degree angle and the 3/8 inch and cut. It doesn't matter if it's the 2-inch piece or the 1.5-inch piece, we're cutting them all at the same width. Okay, so, I mean at the same point there. So again, 45-degree angle, 3/8 inch, and cut. Double checking it. Yep. Turn it towards you, 45-degree angle, 3/8 inch, and cut. Okay, so you're just cutting a little bit. It actually almost looks like a tag in a way. And you're going to just continue this to all of your 7 pieces. Flip towards you. It's good to use your scraps this way. I always like when I can find a way to use all the scraps that I have. "45-degree angle, bottom point at 3/8 inch, cut, flip it totally towards you, 45-degree angle, 3/8 inch, and cut." A nice, fast, easy, just a different pumpkin look. And makes a nice border, and you can even use this as a bottom border. This doesn't have to be a top border. It could be a bottom border. "45-degree angle, 3/8 inch at the bottom piece and cut. And then 3/8 inch at your bottom piece and cut. Okay, so now once you have it all cut, what you want to do is just kind of arrange your, let's move that debris out of there. On your base here, I'm just going to play around with arranging my pieces. And I'm going to have some higher than the other. So some are going to go below my line there. I want the one in the middle to stand out. So I'm going to put that at the 6-inch. I'm going to put that one at the 6-inch mark, right in the middle of the 6-inch mark. And I'm using my silicone mat. You can actually use your other mat. And then this way I can play around with adjusting some of these higher and lower. So just play around with your placement. And your colors. Yeah, I'm switching these around. Use repo tape, it's always good, and then that way you can lift them up. So you want some pumpkins taller than the other, and that's fine. They're going to go below your line, below your base. That's fine. We'll cut those all off, and then we will finish it off with that 3/4 inch strip that we just did. So we're just arranging the pumpkins. There's my first side. So you see I have a few that are sticking out past that bottom border. And that's fine. We're going to cut that off after. You know, tuck some underneath. You want to nestle them. That's why it's good to use your repo tape. Just decide which colors you want next to each other. And it doesn't have to be the exact same on both sides. In fact, you know, when you're in a pumpkin patch or a pumpkin field, pumpkins are not even all the time. So it's fine not to have the match exactly. Okay, so once you have your pumpkins all arranged on your border, then what you want to do is you want to put this back into your trimmer, and I'm going to trim off any of this excess that's on the bottom there. I'm just going to trim it at, I'm going to go back to the 3 1/4, which it was originally. And I'm just going to cut off any of the extra pieces those extra pieces of the pumpkin are coming off. Okay, so now we're all even. And now we're just going to add that 3/4 inch strip on your decal that you cut with the decal. And that's going to go right on top of that border and even them all out. This is going to go right up to the bottom edge of that border. It's going to even it all out. There you go. And then if you want, you could add a couple of little stickers. Some of these little foxes were from that pack, Autumn Harvest. But you can use any stickers that you have. Okay, and now the very last thing we want to do is add some little pumpkin stems. So these little pieces of brown that we have, we want to just cut, maybe 1/4 inch. So I just got, this is just a scrap piece of brown. It's about 1/2 inch left over. I'm just cutting it into 1/4 inch strips. And then I'm just going to put some, this is a fast way to do it. I'm going to put some repo tape on the back. And then I'm just going to nestle them under each pumpkin. And then I'm going to clip them. Just like this. So this is really a fast way to do it. So you see, I'm just nestling it under those 2 pumpkins. And then I'm going to just cut, you know, and you want to go a little sideways a little bit. It's faster this way than trying to do, you know, little pieces and nestling little pieces under. So you see, that's just what I just nestled them under there. So you want to put tape on the back of that entire strip, your repo tape, and then nestle it under the top part of your pumpkins. So it will look like this, almost like upside down, like little candy apples, kind of. And then you want to just clip with your scissor, and it just does it does make a fast pumpkin stem. And since it already has tape on it, it really does go much faster. than trying to cut every little piece and trying to stick them under there. And then just clip them. Some are going one direction, some are going another direction. These are pumpkin stems. And if you want to add little curly cues to them, you could. If you want to add, draw in little leaves, you can. These are just little pumpkin stems. Okay, so you're just going to put them, just make sure they're all down. Yep, this one, a little bit more repo tape on that one. Okay, so just make sure that they are all down on your border. So that is your border, and it can be the top border or a bottom border. And it's a really cute border. If you want, you could put stickers along that bottom piece. So like I said, you could even put it on a bottom as well. So if you're going to add this to a page, you want, I'm just going to add it to a quick page. I'm going to continue along at the top. Or I could put one up, but maybe I'll put one at the bottom so that you could see. One is at the top and one is at the bottom. It's a very tonal paper that I'm using for the base. And I'm just going to tape it up. And then I am going to, I want to put another strip up here for a title or something. So I'm using the blue from that pack that was with the autumn harvest. And I'm going to cut a 1 1/4 inch strip. 1 1/4 inch strip. And if you're putting it on the bottom, it goes directly onto the bottom. This happens to be a vellum, so I'm going to use a vellum tape. And that's going to go at the very top or the bottom of your page. And you can put a title on your page. This one I'm going to use the letters that came in that pack, fall. It also was wood grain. And I'm just going to just pop them on the top right there. And then if you want, you could add little acorns, you could add little leaves to it. I think I'm going to add the acorns so it matches the other side. This is a sticker. And I'm just going to go just right in the middle there from one end to the other. Flip, and then from one end to the other. Okay, and then just using some leftover mats from mat packs, you can just quickly add some dimension here. And I'm going to actually take this one from my pack. This was a mat, and I'm going to use that as a title. So I'm just going to cut that off. I think I might flip this a little bit. No, I'll leave it just the way it is. And tape these down. And there you have your finished page. So I hope you enjoyed your technique, and please let me know if you like the top border or the bottom border. And I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel. It's called Bev DeBono Designs. Please make a comment on the YouTube channel. It definitely helps me on YouTube so that you'll see my content, and then subscribe to my channel. And then every time I post a video, you'll get a notification that I posted the video. If you want, you can add just a little sticker. And this is from another one of the Creative Memories former autumn packs. All of our autumn collections work so well together. So you can mix and match as I just did tonight. So hope you enjoyed the technique. It is a kind of a squared off pumpkin border that you could use for the top or the bottom. And join me for another class soon. Bye-bye.